In this video, I will show you how to create a simple issue list with Excel. We will first define some parameters to give you the flexibility to tailor the list as you please. We will then build the issue list and create some formatting. We will highlight the issues based on their severity or impact. We will gray out the issues that are closed, and we will also highlight issues that are late. On top of the screen, we will create some slicers, and that will allow you to narrow down your list based on the impact or the issue status. And finally, we will create some very simple charts to add a bit of interest to your list. Okay, well, let's build an issue list. Not the most exciting of things to do, but it has to be done. Now, first, we create two tabs, one called Issue Log and the other one called Settings and Totals. And I'm going to start with the Settings and Totals. So here we'll put data that we'll be able to change. That will make our issue list a little bit more dynamic. So it'll be used for validation. So I will have the issue status. And the issue status can be open. I'm just going to limit myself to open, on hold, and closed. Next, issue severity. Here too, I'm going to keep it simple. I'm just going to have high, medium, and low. And finally, the issue category. So regarding issue category, this is completely up to your project, to your environment. If it's technical, obviously the categories will be different. If it's a broader type of project, then you will have a more high-level type of issue categories. Sometimes there is some repetition of the key project aspects, like it could be, for instance, cost, schedule, finance, and the likes. But here I'll just put some random issue category here, so you can put yours, and this will be a starting point for you, but I will be validating based on this. So I'm just going to show the area that I'll use to validate this, and that. Okay, so we've done one tab already. Okay, so that's done for this. Now we can work on a skeleton of the issue list. So we'll be first working on a skeleton of the issue list. Then we will be doing some formatting. And then finally, we will just show some graphs and totals and some summary on top. So now we can go to the other tab and start working on our issue log. By the way, issue log, issue list, I think issue register, maybe less risk register and issue log or issue list, but it depends. So that's the way you can call them. So here I'm just going to go through the headings. So this is not something that is difficult to do, so I'll do it very quickly. So first, I've decided to put an issue number. So this is always very handy. When you want to refer to an issue, instead of giving the description, you just put the number and you say, did you see issue 25? And it goes much faster. Then a date raised. So you put a date here. So this is easy. So I just added here a blank column that we'll be using later on in the conditional formatting to highlight some of the issues. Issue description. So this is obvious. So just put some text here to highlight the issue, what it's about. You don't put the impact really here, but you can put the impact later on. Issue category, so this is what we have seen before. And what I'm added, I'm just going to do the validation now. So to do the validation, you go under data, you go under data validation, you allow a list here, you click on the source, and then you go under the issue category and you select all that. And now you should have it, defect. So defect is it's when you work more on an IT project, I suppose. You can say this issue come from the test team. Impact, so this is the impact as well. So what you can do is you can also validate it. So data validation, same, list, source, and you put it here. You select those three, press OK, and that's it. Impact description. So this is where you put actually what will be the impact, because sometimes an issue can be very precise in the description, but it doesn't tell you what the impact is. They can talk, for instance, for a defect. Here we have a defect. This does not work anymore. But what is the impact? Well, the impact will be delaying the implementation here, for instance. By 3 weeks if we don't fix it, or something very precise, so people know what we are talking about here and they can take action. Due date. So due date is not always in issue list, but I like to put it, and because that gives a bit of a sense of urgency. It's not really due date. It's when we would like the issue to be fixed, so it doesn't impact the project. So in that respect, it's a date here. The owner, for me, that's the most important. We need someone there. So if you're the project manager, you don't want to be in this column. Not because you want to you want to reduce your workload, but because it shouldn't be you most of the time, unless this issue is related to a process of project management. So here, try and put someone and let them know that they are here. Don't put someone without letting them know, because one, they'll be upset, and two, it will never get done. Status, and here we go, our third validation, data validation, same list, click source. What is my status? Open, on hold. Yes, I have put M at on hold. I can fix it here. Okay, so that's done. Open, on hold, closed. Update. So this is something that I like to put personally. When you have a lot of issues, you often have to report on issues during the project meetings and the like. So you can say, yes, this is the last update at that date. Someone did this around that. So I'm changing things up. I'm not just maintaining an issue list. I'm doing more than just maintaining it. I'm actually taking action. Date close, yes, that can be useful, although not very obvious. As long as it's closed, nobody cares really when it was done. Let's move on. Related risk number. So this is something I don't see often, but I think it should be there, because, I mean, if you don't know how it works, I'll put a link of a video where I explain that. But a risk, when it becomes real, it becomes an issue. So an issue can come from a risk, and here you can go back to the risk number, and then in a risk register you would know who was responsible for that risk, and therefore whoever was responsible for that risk, more often than not, they'll be responsible for fixing the issue. So this is why I have it there. Okay, so we have a list here. So I'm just gonna extend it and add a little bit more variety in the data, so we have something to play with. Now, I'm not a huge fan of tables, but as we want to have some types of selection at the top, we will have to convert that into a table at some stage. But I don't want to do it now, because for the conditional formatting with tables, you cannot do it directly, so you would have to reference to the columns anyway. So I'm just going to format it first, and then I will show you how it works for a table, and I will convert that into a table. So here I'm just going to put a flag. Let's say I put flag here. So this is where I wanted to highlight as a bit of a different field, the high category, low, and medium, I should say. So here I have high, medium, low. So I should have amber here. I should have medium. So I just want to highlight those two columns. So what I do is I select that first column here. I press Control key and I select this one as well. It in 2 steps, but I just want to do it in 1 step. I go under conditional formatting, new rule, and I use a formula here. And the formula that I use is I want to check what is in there. But I want to lock in the H to make sure that for this column, it also checks the value of this column here. But I don't want to lock the 6, so I just want to lock the H. So I just put $H and 6. And when that is equal to, I need to click on here and I go to settings total. I'm just going to take the first one, which is the high. So here I'm selecting high. I don't want to hard code high. This way you can change this, no problem, and that will follow. So I want some type of red, but this is too bright. So I do under more colors here. I go under custom and I slide that up to make sure that my red is not as bright. I mean, feel free to leave the very bright red. And then I press OK, and then it should work. So here you can see what it's done. It's just checking that cell, and it also highlights this one. So I like it. I'm just going to go under view, and I'm going to remove those grid lines. I like it. I think it's a bit of a heads up. Here you know that all that are being in trouble. So here what I'll do now is I'm going to do the same. I'm going to select those two and I'll go back to, obviously you would do everything. I just wanted to show you here. You go under manage rules and you duplicate twice. Now the second one, what you'll be doing instead, you will be checking the next cell, which should be the cell 11. I can prove it to you if you like. Medium here, and here we want amber. Some taps of amber. Is that going to be too bright? Probably, so I just want to turn it down. So I am doing the pastel type of scheme here. Okay, what do we have? Okay, so I need to remove this. Okay. And the last one, this time I'm not going to show it to you, I'm just going to put 12. You should trust me by now. And here I can take a light green. So this is all very subtle. Now let's see if it works. So what do we have here? So low, yeah, okay. So obviously this column is optional. If you don't want it, feel free to remove it. But I'm going to keep it in this instance. Now there's something else I'd like to do, and I don't know, there must be some, I'm going to clear root here. What I want to do is I want to hide the issues that are completed. So how do we do this? We do more or less the same as we select everything here. I'm going under the conditional formatting and I put a new rule and I use a formula as usual, and I want to make sure that the status here, as before, I want to log the L but not the 6. And what do I want to check this? This is equal to closed. So as I've decided to put closed in a data validation field, I can just select this one. So this way, if you change it, if you put completed instead, that will still work. And what color do I want? I want a subtle gray. I want to take a light gray. Is that going to be light enough? Okay. So let's check closed and closed. Okay, so that's good. So just to show you, you need to ensure that, for instance, for which field, I'm going to select this field, for instance. If you go under manage rules, now you notice that there is a gray as a potential conditional formatting, and there are the 3 colors. So when you do this, you need to ensure that the gray is on top. Otherwise, it could look quite ugly. You know, you would have all these grayed out, and then you would still see the rack status here, red, amber, green. So make sure that this is on top. Now I would like to convert this as a table. I'm not a big fan of tables, as I was saying, but here I wanted to show it to you to provide a bit of variety. And it'll be quite handy when we do the filtering. So there are several ways to create a table out of this. First, you could select all this and put format as table here, and you would choose a color scheme here. And yes, you say table as header because this is the header. So another way would have been to press Ctrl T. You select the cells and after you press Ctrl T. Now, one of the challenges with conditional formatting on tables is you cannot do it directly. You have to select the cells. You cannot just put the column, the name of the column. So you have a little symbol here that shows you the limit of the table. Don't worry about that. Let's say you want to add another issue here. You just put the number 10 here, and you see the table extends automatically. And we'll see when we have a look at the filters, that why it's good not to have any blank row here. So I'm just going to delete it. Delete table row. Actually, I'm just going to, before I delete that, I want to show you that in the rules, this has extended to 14, just to show you that as it's a table, the conditional formatting pick that up, and now every time you add a row, that's going to follow the conditional formatting, which is quite good. Now let's just remove this for the time being. Delete table row, and it's gone. So we have converted that into a table. Now what I want to do is I want to do some filtering at the top to be a bit fancy, because we have actually grayed out the issues that are closed. But if we have 525 issues, there will be a lot to go through. So that's a big advantage of using tables, is you can add filters. Let me show you how it's done if you don't know how to do it. So first you go under Insert, and you have a slicer here. Now, note that if I click on this, the slicer is going to tell me there's no connections. What you want me to slice? It doesn't know what to slice. But if you put your cursor on a table, it knows. So here I can press on slicer, and it knows that I want to slice this. So what is the first thing that we want to do here? So the first thing that we want to be able to select is the status will be the second one, the impact. That'll be very handy, right? So we have the impact here, and this is done automatically. Looks like it followed the color scheme that I wanted, but that's okay. Now I want to put that on top. So you click on the filter, and what you need to do is you need to say, I want 3 columns here, because this is going to take too much room otherwise. So I just put 2, 3. There you go. So, and after you can format that the usual way. I want to, I'll do the fine tuning later on. So this is quite good, because you can just press high, and it selects only the high. You select low. Who'd have guessed? Now I wanted to show you why it's a good idea not to have any empty issue here, because let's say I have another issue here. Here, he actually thinks that there is another field that I need to select. Let me put that back to a bigger one. This is the blank here. So you could play around and try and hide it like this. It's not very obvious. But the best way, I think, is to just make sure that we don't have any blank rows here. So I'm just going to remove it. Delete table row. So now we only have those 3 here. Perfect. And it shows you the impact. So just a quick overview of how this works. So we've seen you can select 1 if you like. If you want to go back to 0, you just click the red cross here. If you click that field here, the multi-select, as the name implies, you can select high and medium, for instance. And then you go back here and you click this. So this is quite good. Yeah, I think it's quite good for the amount of time it took us. So I want to add another slicer here. So I just go into Insert, Slicer, and this time I want to select the status, because there's no point of me highlighting the high impact issues if they are closed. It's in the past. So here I do the same trick. I put 3 columns. I put like this, and I put like that. So it's pre-selected the same color that I had from here. So here I'm using the color, the new Office colors there. And the color that I have selected is the top one here. I mean, as usual, like for everything, you can still change the color if you don't like it. You could just go here and that's it. So it changes everything. But let's not get sidetracked. Let's assume that you love this blue here. Okay, so now where was I? So you have the impact and the status here. If you want to give it a different color here, you can do it individually as well, obviously. You go under the slicer, and you can have either pre-selected. For instance, let's say you want that in purple or in plum, as Microsoft say. But I think actually this is not the place to be fancy. So I'm just going to be very strict here. I'm going to click on it again, and I'm going to pre-select this one as well. So here we go. So let's just clear this. So we have the impact and the status here. What I would like to do is put a big fat title here and put a couple of charts. People always love charts for some reason. So I'm just going to do that now. So here I'm going back to the settings tab where I want to put some totals here. We want to draw graphs, charts, so we need totals. So I'm using the COUNTIF formula, COUNTIF, and the range that I'll be selecting will be this one. Here's the status. I'm not going to worry about naming the range. The system should do all that for us. And what do I want is I want this to be equal to, so I just put a comma and I go back here and equal to this colon here, the C colon, which is the open. Close the parenthesis, press enter, and it's calculated it. Now the advantage of doing it this way is the C5 here is unlocked. So if I just drag this like this, this is copying it. So if you prefer the copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. And here, for instance, you can check, you double click, yes, it's checking against the closed. So we're good with this one. Regarding the severity, I mean, I should really call that impact to be consistent with the colon naming that I have. Regarding the impact, I just don't really care about all the history, about all the high issues that are not closed. I want only to select the open one. So I just put open in another column here. Open, open, open. And here I do a COUNTIF as well, but I have two criteria. So the issue has to be open and the impact has to be high. So if you don't know the formula, the function, sorry, it's with an S, COUNTIF with an S. Who would have thought? So criteria, the first criteria is I'm checking that it's open, that this, go back here, comma, and then I go back here is equal to open. I could have hard-coded it, but I just wanted to refer to this. And the second criteria is that the impact, so I go back here, impact, select this, comma, and I'm selecting that. And close this, enter 1. Now if I drag that down, because it's a reference here, so it should pick up along the lines here. If I would have instead used the open here, actually I made a mistake, I should have just done that. This open, just in case they change the open here, I'm referring to that field here. And this one to the top one. This one to the top one. So here if I would have just, in this selection here, if I would have referred to this one, I would have had to put the dollar value so it doesn't go down while we go down here. But at this stage it's all good. So here I have one open that is high. Let's see how that reconciles. So just select here in the filter, open and high. So there's only one. Not much of a test, but that should work. So let me just clear all that up. And now this is where we go into the territory of design. So it's all a little bit personal. But before we jump into this, I just wanted to demonstrate that, let's say if I add another issue here, the issue 10, this should have picked it up. Just want to make sure that this picked it up. COUNTIF, another high, because the status is there, so it just picked it up as well, so that's good. Now, issue log. So all right, so the first, you select the 6 cells this way, open, on hold, close, and you select the number. You put insert, and you go under this, and you select a chart that looks okay. This one, for instance, doesn't look too bad. I don't care about the title, so I just remove it. I click on the horizontal lines and I remove them. Here, I'm just going to remove this axis. I click on it and I remove it. I right click on the one of the chart bars, and I say add data labels. And yeah, actually I could leave them here on top. Yeah. So if we want to be consistent with our colors, chart design, we can, oh sorry, just need to click on the bar first. What type of color do I want? I think I want to stick to everything the same color at this stage, so I'll just put it this way. Now if you want to change just one, for instance the closed, if you want to put them in gray, you just double click on this to make sure you only change this one, and here you put a bit of a gray, just to show the people that you've done some work. Not sure about this, but it's up to you. So here I'm just going to cut this, and I'm going to paste it here. And here I might have to do a couple of adjustments. So the first adjustment I'd like to do is to go under the format, sorry, here, the shape outline, I want to put no outline. And this is it. Put that in bold. It's on the wrong side. Might as well be consistent. Put that into the slide where I have the status here, the side where I have the status. Okay, so this is good. If you want more room, just do this. Okay. That's just a matter of doing the same with the impact, really. So the impact, I'll just do this. You can be fancy and choose another one, but I'm just going to stick to this one. Should do the same process. Remove it all. And here I'm going to right click, add data labels. And same here, I'm just going to select the same blue, might as well, turquoise. Okay, I'm just cutting this and I'm putting back here. All right, okay. I'm just going to remove the outline. Okay, so if you want to put them closer, you just right click on the data bars, format data series, and you play with the overlap, the gap width, and the line. So if you put, for instance, 50 here, they are closer together. I'm not going to do it, but just so that you know, is it going to insist now? Okay. So this is it, we're getting close. I just want to put a big fat title here. Now I need to show you a trick just in case you don't know it. I need to go under Find and Select, and I'm just going to select all those objects because I don't want them to move when I'm going to play around with the size of the cell. So I just need to make sure they are all selected. I want everyone on board. I right click on those, I go to Size and Property. And property, I need to say don't move or size with cells. Otherwise, when I just change the size of the cells, they're going to expand. It's not going to be a pretty sight. So this is what I wanted to do. I just want to put a big fat issue list here, for instance. And here I want to put the date. On the other one, I want to put today, which is the Excel function to retrieve the date. And here I'm going to play with the formatting. Let's say I want all this. I'm going to put a fat thing here. I'm just going to put a white font. I'll put that in bold. And I'm going to extend it. And so this is not transparent. I want shape fill to be transparent, no fill. Okay. I could even push my luck and try and put white. If I put white, I might have to put that a bit deeper. I put that in the center. And issue list. Okay, so this is the title, so I want it the deepest. No, of course, this you can make it a little bit, look a little bit. You can even push your luck and put it. I keep pushing, saying push my luck today. Different color, for instance. You can put this like this. It's ugly, but you can do some formatting, I suppose. Put that like this way.